This is a HeadGum podcast.
About to do a HeadGum living room interview with an old friend, Anthony Atamanuik. But before I get into that, I just want to talk to you guys about the wonders of Southern Comfort 100 Proof. It's like rekindling an old flame. Yeah, maybe you did some SoCo and lime shots back in college, but Southern Comfort 100 Proof is its own new delicious drink. You can have it on its own, as long as it's responsibly. You can mix it with ginger ale, as long as it's responsibly. I actually kind of like Southern Comfort, soda water, and a splash of OJ for some color and some vitamin C. You wake up feeling like $1,000,000. Southern Comfort 100, not just for shooting anymore. It's an actual mixer, and you could drink it neat, you could drink it straight. Enjoy it. All right, enough talking about booze. I'm a little too hungover to keep having this conversation. To my interview with Anthony. What's up, shitheads? Welcome back to another episode of High and Mighty. It's me, your host, John Gabrus, the number one fuck boy, the fuck boy, fuck buoy, the number one fuck buoy. What's up to all my number two fuck boy and fuck girls out there in the world? We are back with another episode of High and Mighty, and with a returning guest from the rant and raving episode of Conspiracies.
Oh, come on.
I got Anthony Atamanuik, Trump Dump himself.
All right.
Donald Trump, non-speaking writer number 2 from 30 Rock.
That's right. Number 1.
Oh, yeah, because the other one spoke.
Yeah, the other one spoke. Yeah. I became number 1.
Yeah. King of fucking Tiny Kingdom right there.
Yeah.
Anthony, thanks for coming back. I'm hungover as fuck here at South by Southwest.
That's good. That's good. I'm tired. I'm just tired.
You're just tired.
I'm just tired.
You're just depressed. You're old.
I'm very depressed. It's not even tired from. I'm not tired from exhaustion.
I'm world weary.
I'm emotionally drained. Yeah.
So what's been going on with you, man? How has your life changed since you were a guest on High and Mighty?
Well, it's amazing. I went on High and Mighty, and next thing you know, the powers that be, the reptilian forces in the world, were like, we're going to elevate him. We're going to bring him up into our game.
And now you're part of it.
And I'm part of
it. Now you're
game.
An integral member of the Illuminati.
I am like an Illuminati apprentice.
That's so cool.
Illuminati apprentice.
You're fired. Illuminati apprentice.
It would be like, you were thrown from the cliffs of Dover after your tongue has been slit and your neck has been cut from right to left. You are that. That is, of course, the way you kill a Mason if they betray the Brotherhood.
We all know that.
Yeah.
Wait, so that's a thing? If a Mason betrays the Brotherhood, they slit
I think it's from right to left. That's why there was the whole thing with Jack the Ripper, that they thought that he was a possible Freemason. Ooh. It was because the way he was killing the prostitutes was the way that you executed someone according to Masonic law.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's kill some prostitutes.
Yeah, why not? Austin's the place to do it, you know?
There's so many people in town.
So many people, nobody will
track
know
who it is. Yeah. The prostitutes are out because they know.
Yeah.
During South by Southwest would be a good time to run like a hipster prostitute business.
I would imagine that somebody's already ahead of you on that one.
Based on like someone.
Oh, I mean, any city where there is a convention of any kind, I can guarantee you that the sex work jumps enormously just because there's a bunch of dweebs
old
sitting
wealthy marketing guys come into town. They're like, my wife's not here. I want to fuck some girl with a nose ring.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I think too, like, especially, you know, you got all the dweebles around here. They gotta get, you know, they gotta get a little something.
Everybody's got to get a little something.
Everybody's got to get a little something.
Daddy needs a little taste.
Daddy needs it.
So, as usual, we'll just blanket statement here. We're not experts.
Not at all.
You're not at all. As a matter of fact, everything you say is a lie.
Yeah, probably everything I say.
Do not fact check this conversation at all. But We're not experts. We're just passionate. I know nothing. If you're listening or watching this for the first time, check out our first episode that Anthony was on, where we talked about conspiracy theories. We're gonna get back into it. I don't know much about that world, but I'm obsessed with it. Every time I hear a new one, and we're gonna do a 2-hour special on loose change.
yeah, we're gonna do it at 2.5. That's only the first part of loose change. It's gonna be a 6-part series.
Yeah, we're gonna do a 6-part series. We're gonna break down loose change.
There was a guy who like tweeted at me, and he was like, "It's Blutowski." But when I was talking about like Blutowski, the woman who wrote Secret Doctrine, I guess I said it incorrectly, and this person like tweeted at me like 6 times about how I pronounced it incorrectly. I was like, "Does that invalidate what I said, you idiot?"
We're going off the top of our heads, ranting and raving for like an hour, and someone's like, "You mispronounced a word in there." Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Thanks for swinging by, asshole.
I believe here's the things I think are interesting.
Cats,
even in
dogs.
No, but it's interesting.
Sunshine.
On this tour, when we were especially in Manchester and the Trump versus Bernie tour.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Anthony is touring the country/world as Donald Trump, debating a friend and fellow comedian James Adomian.
That's right.
As Bernie Sanders.
Hit show, sellout show.
Sellout show, baby.
It really, but yeah, so that's what happened after I did your show.
So the lizard people came?
The lizard people came and said, I think it is bizarre that I started playing him and suddenly I started making more money than I ever had. I was like, does Trump have...
It's like dress for the job you want.
Yes, does he actually have a Midas touch where if you play him...
I mean, he touched his face and his face became gold.
Yeah, that is true.
I was getting ready this morning.
I was getting ready.
Let's talk. Let's just talk about that briefly. How's that been playing? Like,
it's been weird. It's been psycho. I think about it. I actually have had a couple of moments.
I don't want you to Heath Ledger yourself. Is what I'm saying.
No,
I don't want you to get into this character. It's so dark that you have to take pills to come out of it.
It is dark, and I am realizing that I just hit the right point to take a break from him for a little bit.
Do you start to feel like you believe some of the stuff you say?
No.
Or like, do you find yourself with the attitude of Trump off stage?
No, I would say I don't have the belief in the content because the content's insane. But
right.
I do feel like it takes me a couple of days to dial down from swaggery behavior and being sort of alpha, like even like coming in the house and being like, this neighborhood, I mean, what are we doing? We're recording. I would never say that out loud normally. I would keep it in the lockbox
or say it to me.
Or say it to you. and it's a great neighborhood, but like I'm also sort of half kidding, half not, and like that's where he lives,
right?
Constantly sort of saying shit he doesn't want to take responsibility for.
He's the best in that he can. He's not the best. He's the best at this. He can say whatever he wants and then leap right off of it, and it has no weight whatsoever.
It's amazing.
Or it has tons of weight, and then when someone's like, "Hey, what'd you mean?" He's like, "Nothing," and everyone's like, "Oh, okay."
Or he'll just go, I didn't say that. I don't think I said that. Maybe we'll have to check the tape. Let's move it on. Something else. And he just like, it's insane to me. So it is, two things. It is hard because not to be a pretentious fuck, but I see it as an acting job. Like. Right. And I had enough reinforcement. I had like one of the guys who like produced all the Amadeus, like all the movies where it's like a character movie, like People versus Larry Flint. He was like, you do a great job. And I was like, okay, that makes me feel good that I should pursue it like that.
Right, yeah.
Like I'm doing like a true to life version as best I can of him.
But it's great satire too.
Yeah.
One of my favorite jokes I saw, and then we'll move on to conspiracy stuff, but there is some conspiracy stuff around this dude.
Oh, we got to talk about Chicago from yesterday because I believe there's a conspiracy around that, but keep going.
Oh, man. Fresh, hot takes. One of my favorite jokes you did was the anchor babies.
Oh, yeah.
When I become president, we'll have anchor babies. And what I mean is we will take Mexican babies,
and bronze
them, and then use them as anchors on boats.
It's not offensive anymore. It's just literally true. I've added a part where what I say is Mexican women push their pusses up to the U.S. border like they're Tom Brady trying to make a fucking quarterback sneak with the football.
Just shoot the fucking baby, let it land in El Paso.
I'm like, what is this? This thing's hitting the powder and it's a citizen?
The other thing Trump does really well is fucking bully.
Oh yeah.
He's like one of those things where like if you just like call someone Four Eyes and then every time they talk you go shut up Four Eyes, shut up Four Eyes.
Little Marco.
Yeah, and to the point where that person has to go, I don't need glass. Like they have now people are reacting to things that Donald Trump has created.
It's so
about
good.
them.
He's good. He's really good at he has taken each candidate
and boiled them down to a brand.
Yes.
A negative brand
A
that
negative
he created.
brand that he
like
creates.
Trump has got a vibe to it, like the Trump golf course, the Trump Tower.
Yeah.
He's created Ruby Jeb weak, you know.
Weak guy. He should be called Jeb Kush. I mean, this guy's an indica. Okay, I will keep doing this if you don't stop.
I know. I'll make sure we stop.
But what I was going to say is that he also has a cadence that actually is it's a hypnotic cadence.
It really is.
He has a cadence that keeps you every time. He speaks in the rhythm of the modern human mind, which is constant distraction. 30 seconds, I want to be distracted. 30 seconds, I want to be distracted.
Yeah, and he speaks in rounds, you know, like singing rounds. Like he's like says something. He says a 15-word statement. Then he says the last 10 words. Then he says the last 7 words. Then he says the last 3 words. He's like, we're going to build this wall, blah, 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 make America great again. Then he's like, blah, 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 make America great again. Then he's like, make America great again.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just hammers it home. He's like rote memorization. Yeah.
He's a tricky little weasel. But there's
Wasn't there like that famous Nixon speechwriter thing said like, as soon as you're, and I think I might be stealing this from the Great Debates podcast I listened to, but Nixon said something. Nixon speechwriter said, the second you are absolutely disgusted and tired of saying the same phrase is the first time the American people are getting it.
Yeah.
Because it's like you just got to fucking hammer that.
You got to hammer it in. Well, you got to hit. Well, so
especially if it's completely fabricated information.
Well, yeah. If it's a complete lie, you got to really hammer that into people's heads until they're like, maybe it is true.
Oh, yeah. I never thought of that, but I guess Syrians could kill us in our homes.
Yeah. I guess there is a secret fleet of Muslims coming to this country to but 2 things I find interesting is, 1, you see the power class, like the real power class, panicking because he is truly dismantling. He's really dismantling a like very old system that's not supposed to be dismantled.
He's like Rodney Dangerfield showing up at Caddyshack. He's like new money, white trash.
Yeah.
And all these old.
He's a Queen's kid.
Yeah,
he's ultimately a Queen's kid.
Yeah.
He's not part of their blue blood cabal.
Oh, here it comes. Downshift. I love this.
And they tried to do the thing where they take all of their racist and economic and sexist behavior of the Republican Party and they tried to pour it into Trump and be like, he is this. And we rebuke that. And that didn't work. And now they're just like, well, we might have to split as a party or we'll figure a way to take him out because what you're really hearing, and I think it is sad, and not for Trump, but it's the same thing as Sanders, which is that there is an actual limit to the power that a person can have in this country if you're not part of a club. And when you see that type of classism happening at that high an echelon, where you have billionaire and one being like, sorry, you're not allowed in the club,
right?
that means that there's
doesn't bode well for the rest of us.
No, because that means there's a level of elite that is so locked down.
And they're behind everything.
I think that they're behind a lot more than
I'm beginning to think that as well.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of events that I don't think that you have puppet masters pulling each string. I think you have clockmakers winding the clock and seeing what it does.
Ooh.
And I think that's more what it is. And the Trump thing in Chicago last night, I don't know when this is air, but there was
this will air in a couple of weeks from now, but people should probably
a couple of weeks ago when probably by now someone's been killed at a Trump rally, but
knock on wood, please.
Knock on wood, but what do you think? I mean, it's only escalating.
It's not going to get better. It's not like they're going to be singing Kumbaya or like Black Power fists at the next fucking Trump rally.
No, I don't think so. I do a bit.
Get him out.
Get him out. Get him out of here. Get him out of pay for his medical bill.
My fans are passionate.
My fans are very passionate. They wear beautiful white hoods. So I think in Chicago, I think the Trump campaign, though, I think that they are deeper masters of manipulation than we're giving credit for. because I think that they did an open ticket Chicago rally because Trump was never going to show up. I think that because there was this news cycle of like, and I think that he's an improviser. I think he's a master improviser. So I think he probably within a day cycle went, we should just get rid of, we should just not do the Chicago rally, open up the tickets for anybody, let it fall apart, and then we can show how the protesters are the ones causing trouble, not my rally
Right,
people.
that's what he's
and
now
that's
saying.
The story that's now happening.
The new dialogue was that protesters have been causing violence, even though there has been literal videos of protesters
punching people in the head.
That old fucking dude in a cowboy hat with a ponytail who just punches like the one black dude in the head. It's like, come on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he was like, I loved it. Had to shut him up.
He was leaving.
I know.
He sucker punched the guy who was being thrown out.
Well, you're looking at and what's so depressing is, again, you have these people who are, this is a larger conspiracy of the techno class and of the elite class of all
When
stripes.
you say techno class, I picture people who have like wires coming out of their heads.
The tech class. I guess not the techno class. The techno class is like just snorting E and like, is it? I'm old, Molly, whatever. So back in my day, it was E.
When we did it, it was called speed.
I remember one time I was in line at a club and someone's like, yo, man, are you rolling? And I was like, I don't have any papers. And they went, no, man. And I was like, I'm so lame.
I'm a crumb
I'm an old crumb. I think that what you see, too, is the tech class, the elite class, the Democrats moving away from working people, the Republicans manipulating working people, and that foments xenophobia and sort of tribalism. You know, we have a circumstance now where neither ruling class gives a flying fuck about people who don't have money.
Right.
We care less about, and our culture in general, and I know this from teaching improv, is the more kids I teach who come, mostly from upper middle backgrounds, as I came from lower middle, but made my way up a little, that like the contempt they have for regular people and poor people is so deep, and it's disgusting.
It's upsetting.
It's
and
disgusting.
Crazier than that is that poor people don't know. Like poor people are like, fuck these other poor people.
Oh, yeah. They're all like, fuck these
white poor people are like, fuck these black poor people.
Yes,
like it's like everyone is just like, no,
divide and conquer.
Right.
Divide and conquer. And not only that, I know this is a hard thing to put out there, but I think
this is the place. My podcast.
I'm
is
a
the
left-leaning person. I'm a very lefty person in a lot of ways, but I'll say, go to a Trump rally, and if you look at those people, the thing you have to realize is you got to love them in some way because they're hurting people who probably have generations of ignorance and generations of intolerance bred into them. And it doesn't mean endorsement. Empathy doesn't mean endorsement. Empathy just simply means, which, by the way, Trump said it the other day, too. And I was like, I've been saying that for months. I was like, oh, we're becoming the same person. But, like,
there's going to be some weird situation where you both, like, go to grab a paper towel at the bathroom at the same time, look at each other.
And then I'll be like, blowing him in the bathroom 20 minutes later.
Let's make America come again.
But, like, I think it's sad. I think it's really sad, actually, because all these people are being left out of the process and nobody is caring for them. And so, when Sanders comes around and does this and what you find so interesting is he's not appealing. He's appealing to upper but not lower class.
Oh, right.
Right?
Bernie, yeah.
Whereas Trump is running the table with the rest of these swaths of people that have been manipulated by the Republican Party for decades, and nobody ever has given them voice, and he's giving them voice. It's very
so
frightening. It's very frightening.
It's just funny too that Trump, the people that go to his rally, the people that he's like, these are my people, are people that he would like shove out of his way.
I used to say a line where I was like, I've been traveling around the country lecturing half retarded people in huge arenas. Please, you know how tired I am? Like, because his contempt. He's like, you idiots, right?
Yeah.
You like this? Let me talk in a baby voice to you during a fucking rally. Like, half of it is like, we having fun.
Just jingling keys.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true.
that's our modern conspiracy that we're dealing
Modern
with.
conspiracy.
It's funny because you would assume, as like a liberal, a left-leaning asshole, you would assume that Trump is the conspiracy, but the conspiracy is beyond Trump to stop Trump. Because I originally thought when he was coming into power, I was like, the Republicans know what they're doing.
No.
I thought he was like some sort of like vanguard force to rile everyone up to foaming at the mouth, and then he go, vote Romney and get out of there, or something like that. And everyone swoops in and everyone's worked up into a fever. But then all of a sudden it's like the guy is like, all right, Trump, you're going to go in there, you're going to warm up the crowd. And all of a sudden the crowd starts laughing and he's like, I'm the guy now.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like mad with power.
But also everybody, the media, everyone colluded. They loved the summer of Trump.
Because
they
it's reality
loved
TV.
It was reality TV, and it's considered in the news cycle the sort of the lame season of political reporting because nothing's really solidifying
so far
until
away
September.
from election, yeah.
And he took that vacuum and ran with it, and then they didn't know what to do.
Right, there's been like 15 debates. We're
They
still
did not
10 months
know.
out.
And they loved the media coverage. They loved everything that it was coming their way. And then, boy, they got him, and now they're like, "Oh, he's not
stopping.
backing off." And they were stupid. They made him sign the pledge
Right.
to stay. I mean, I have to say, it is fucked up because I've been playing him so long, and I watch him every day. I study him for like an hour a day. So there is a thing where I guess you do have simpatico, but it's like he really is a masterful deal maker. I mean, when you think about it, those were masterful moves to work your way in and take over a party that doesn't want you. I mean, like, he's going to win Florida. And he's going to win it by a 20-point margin, probably.
It's terrible.
And in Ohio, he might win. And if that happens, that guy is the nominee. This is going to get real.
It's terrifying.
People are still pretending it's not real. All right, it's time for our lightning round.
The seatbelt light just came on.
Oh, by the way, we're in a car.
We're comedians in cars getting crap in our
Don't
pants.
get sued by Seinfeld.
Or Trump or any. Oh, so I've never been more excited for someone to see all your success you're getting, but I've never rooted for someone's job to end so harshly.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I've said to you off mic before, I'm like, Anthony, I'm so happy for you, but I hope this job is dead for you by November.
So do I. I hope it's dead by July.
Right.
I'll be fine. I've gone to Europe. I'm fine. I'm fine.
So Anthony, we talked about a lot of different stuff last time, and I barely remembered. I actually tried to re-listen to it because we were so baked when we talked about it last time.
I listened to it.
Yeah, I listened to it. It was so fucking. So I have so many follow-up questions, but one thing we just like briefly mentioned was the occult.
Yeah.
And people tweeted at us a bunch to be like, please talk about the occult. So, and I'm obsessed with that shit. Like that, I loved Going Clear, the Scientology documentary.
Yes.
Was really good. But one of my favorite moments in it is when they just show a clip from the shit that he was into, that L. Ron Hubbard was into before Scientology.
Was it Crowley? Was he
Yeah,
into
he was like,
Crowley?
what the fuck? That scared the shit out of me. What was that? What is it, man? It's game over, man. It's game over. Something. It was just like a weird bug, but it flew so slowly. It was terrifying.
That was awful. I had an earplug that fell out of my ear the other night, and then it was in my sheets, and I woke up, and it fell on my neck.
And you freaked out.
And I jumped out of that bed and was like, no. I thought it was a roach or something.
Because you've been staying in all the random
yeah,
hotels
so
and shit.
it was an earplug, but I had that like...
Oh, your heart was standing fully nude in the corner whimpering with your sheet.
One time I had a bee. I should tell this one, too. Well, you know what? No, I'm not, because these are not interesting stories.
One time I saw a bee.
One time I did wake up with a bee in my bed. It is interesting.
That is interesting.
I woke up in the middle of the night. Flossie was there, and I felt something on my leg, and I went, I reached around. I was like, okay, nothing. And I go, okay, I'm going to go back to bed. And then Flossie's like, wakes up. She's like, what is that? And I'm like, it's nothing. It's nothing. She goes, there's something on me. And I'm like, okay. And I pull the sheet. We turn the light and pull the sheet back. And it's a little bee crawling around. It was like the middle of the winter. There was a little bee crawling around in the room. And so I let him out. I put him in a cup.
Remember, we're trying not to get sued by Seinfeld. So if we could talk less about comedians and cars and coffee and less about bees.
You're right.
This episode is brought to you by Jerry Seinfeld's B movie. now streaming on all JetBlue flights.
Okay, so the occult.
All right, so Aleister Crowley is a name that comes up a lot. I first heard that name in a Michael Delaney improv class. He's he mentioned Aleister Crowley. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, the guy kind of like black magic guy. I was like,
what is it? Ordos Tempo Seculari? What is right? Ordo Templi Orientis.
Chris, the engineer,
That's
creeping
on
everyone
the bill.
out.
That's on the dollar bill. Ordo Templi Seculari.
E pluribus unum.
E pluribus unum. And it's 777 was one of his famous books.
I don't know anything about this world. I feel like once I moved to California, it's like, is this where it all happens?
Well, I think it's interesting. Well, there's 2 mailing addresses. One is somewhere in California and like near Las Feliz. The other big mailing address that's more for conspiracy stuff is like in the Trade Center. Like, no joke. It was the old address for the Trade Center and now the new address.
Oh,
and there's like these publishing companies. I told you again, you have to read Umberto Eco has since passed since our last conversation.
Oh, shit. That's another sign, dude.
Foucault's Pendulum. You have to read Foucault's Pendulum because it really is such a great breakdown of the red herring industry of conspiracy that's actually propagated by the power class.
Right, because they like the conspiracy because it confuses people. It keeps them off the truth. Yeah. If everyone's like, yeah, the president did 9/11, now we don't know who did 9/11.
Yeah, exactly. So now I would say that occult, so there's like occult practices, I think, got a huge resurgence in the 19th century during the Romantic period. So that's when you had a lot of seances and tarot.
And there's always sex involved, I feel like.
Well, magic sex magic.
Blood sugar sex magic.
Blood sugar sex magic. Well, there's different types of sex magic. And I am not endorsing this when I say it. I am simply talking about them.
Yes, and also, yes, we don't believe
We don't believe this. I'm not, but there's child sex magic.
That's my favorite one, though. I don't endorse it, but that is my favorite.
It's because it's the one considered to have the most power, right? Then... It's true, though. In those circles, that is believed. That is believed, but it's disturbing as fuck. But I love it, and
it makes me feel powerful. But
there's a great argument about why one of the reasons there was such a repression of homosexuality in the 19th century was the belief that part of homosexual activity is ritualistic magical sex, and it is reserved for sacred ceremonies. And
that's sort of my rule. I only fuck dudes during secret ceremonies.
In an all red room with a guy with a hood next to me. It's called Plato's Retreat on the Upper West Side.
Check it out.
We've got great properties.
Seinfeld is always there.
Jerry's always there. I take an Amex card and rub it like I do a swipe through his ass.
What's the deal with this?
What's the deal with the butt juice on my Amex card?
Dingleberries on my Amex card. And Jerry Seinfeld actually was a spokesperson for Amex too, dude. We're into it now. Conspiracy.
So is Tina, our former boss, Tina Fey.
Our former boss, Tina Fey. Friends of Tina here. FOTs.
FOTs. Haven't seen her in about 5 years.
Friends of Tina is what the 30 Rock what our title was on that set. But the funny thing about it was I don't think Tina would like us to be going around saying we're friends of Tina Fey.
Yeah. We are close, dear friends of Tina Fey.
Me, Anthony, Tina, and Amy road tripped last year.
Oh, yeah.
Went to Big Sur. And
if by road trip you mean stood near each other for 30 seconds
before being pepper sprayed. So...
Yeah.
Why are the fucking rich? Why are rich people doing this? How do people get into the occult?
Well, first off, it should be known that a lot of people who are in the most powerful echelons of society are members of alternate religions other than Christianity, Judaism, or that most of them practice bull worship religions.
What's that shit that Scalia was doing? Like he was there.
He's like there. Scalia, the Huntsman's. It's the Huntsman's Club. Oh, well, the Scalia thing is crazy. He's found on a bed with a pillow on his face, and they didn't call the police because the Huntsman Society had their own doctor who was going to take it. And he went with them, and normally he goes with a detail, but he didn't go with the detail. I think that I don't think he was, this would be my guess. They have some ritual or something where he was like euthanized. But it was a voluntary thing, like for him too.
But how can someone who's
They
a
euthanized that guy.
how can a sitting Supreme Court justice go on a vacation to kill animals with like a Austrian fucking
secret society?
Yeah, like how is that okay?
And yet, if you talk about that,
And Hillary's gonna go to fucking. They want to cut Hillary's head off for like accidentally sending an email from Gmail.
Yeah.
We got Supreme Court justices in illegal meetings with members of other governments. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then they're like, Hillary is a cunt. She's got to fucking
yeah, get rid of her, kill her. Well,
Benghazi.
Yeah, Benghazi. Which is also how you say thank you in Italian.
Is it Benghazi?
Hey, Benghazi, thank you. Little weird lull there.
Yeah, sorry, I just heard people running around upstairs.
But yeah, I think that, well, it's like the Grove, it's Bilderberg. I know these are all the things that here's the problem, is they've done a very good job of making those things sound like
great,
crazy
yeah.
trigger words, yet these people go do these things. They go do them. They attend them.
It's terrifying to me.
Yeah.
It's terrifying to me. It doesn't terrify me that something like that exists.
Yeah.
That like there is a secret society called the Huntsman where they like kill weird animals once a year together.
Yeah.
Like that's fucked up, but that doesn't scare me. It scares me that people in positions of power are part of that. That makes you think that like they are serving more than one master.
Of course they are. They're serving. Listen, there's always.
First of all, the Supreme Court is almost seems like a cult the way like they wear like black robes.
Well,
they're all justices.
In the video, I always love the video of Supreme Court justices. It's always that looping video of them standing around posing for the portrait,
Yeah.
and they are sort of whispering to each other, and there's never audio, and it's always the same. You always see Ruth Bader Ginsburg lean over and whisper something. It's the same clip. So it's interesting to me that almost our meme or what we're programmed is to see this 30-second clip of these people standing and whispering in black robes, and that's all you know about them.
Right, and that's nothing gets more secretive than whispering to each other in black robes.
Yes.
It's like traditionally creepy as fuck, yeah.
But I think that, like, you can look at it a couple of ways. There's a great book called The Secret History of the World, and I can't remember the name of the author. Knox or something. I can't remember his last name. Oh, it was Knox. The bell went off.
Knox.
But I think that, and it's a great book, and it's sort of a compendium where he's like, listen, I'm not saying this is true. He goes, but this is what a lot of people believe, and this is what a lot of people in power classes believe. And what you learn is the esoteric history of the birth of the universe is that God, there's a Kabbalistic painting, actually, where God looks in a mirror, right? And the point at which and he's contemplating his reflection. And the moment at which the reflection has its own contemplation is when the universe is born. Okay?
Whoa.
And from the mind of God comes this ether, which forms the universe. His conception of his reflection is what allows the universe to exist. And it exists in this very light ether where gods and ribbons of energy and all this stuff can all sort of coincide with each other. And it's a real belief. And
I'm into this.
As the universe densifies, so what's interesting is this is a concept that is as old as the Pythagoreans, is very old concept. It does essentially mirror our conception of a singularity and the possible birth of the universe.
Right.
So it's interesting that the
close to Big
scientific
Bang.
explanation and the esoteric explanation are actually lined up. And I think it's one of the great problems we have in our modern history is ignoring the scientific and cultural achievements of antiquity. And the fact that mankind or humankind has probably been refining and exercising its thought and intellect for tens of thousands of centuries prior to what we believe.
It's so crazy.
I really believe that. And the Genesis story is the story, essentially, of the densification of matter, of the ether. And this is the belief that as the densification occurred, you had to create talismans and symbols to house gods. So the reason we had talismans, symbols, the tarot story, all these things were ways that we were able to keep a relationship with the other sort of spheres of intellect that are also us, but they are also outside us. How we create. That's why there's a belief that the pyramids were not tombs. They were basically, all the large monuments were built to house gods so they could have a space.
It would be awesome if a fucking arrow hit you in the chest right now.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, they're on to us.
But so like Genesis is the story of the moon, Venus, and Saturn. They're actually the story of the astrological bodies and their movements in space around the time. That's what Genesis is. It's an astrological or astronomical. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was confused. Those astronomical map of those planets. And it basically is discussing the idea of the reflective self, the battle between the human being, Luciferian influence, which is science, or the light bringer, which is matter, right? Saying that we're trapped in an illusion, and that is the Luciferian illusion, okay? And then Saturn, who's the destroyer of consciousness, right? Because Saturn eats all the titans. He eats all the children. So Saturn is Satan, the destroyer of consciousness, and Lucifer, the same way Elohim and Jehovah are the two faces of God. Elohim being the face of God that doesn't see us, okay, that simply is the creator and is the sort of peaceful light. And then Jehovah, which is the acting God, the one who punishes and rains power down on earth. So now if you give you this basic roadmap, then you have cults or people who practice, how do I, through this mechanism and through the mechanism of what I represent as a being.
How do I worship that dude that we can't see?
How do I change reality? How do I alchemically and hermetically change reality to suit my needs? And that is what occultism partly is. Oh. It is having relationships with what it would be perceived other forces both within you and outside of you, and how do you channel, direct, or open up those forces to affect the material world around you? That's the basic premise behind it.
That's like fucking Hogwarts.
Yes, it's Hogwarts. So there's studies that are done that show if I have some stone, and I every day make associations with this stone, right? Where I'm like, this stone, I have more money with this stone, and I really believe it. And every day I concentrate on that stone and I imbue it with that, right? And maybe I even take a symbol that has power, because the subconscious mind registers symbols as like little data packages. They have tons of them. One symbol has, infinite amounts of information in it to the human mind, right? That's why they're so powerful. So now you put some symbol on that stone and you make this association. The argument being that your mind, which is the arbiter of this, okay, will shift its experiences to validate the magic in the stone.
Right, you can find, it's like the movie The Number 23. Like,
yes.
if you're like, I'm thinking of getting, this recently happened, like if you're thinking of getting a car, you're like, because maybe we'll get a Volkswagen Tiguan. Then all you see on the road is Tiguan. It's like you create your own reality.
Now imagine if you could have such discipline that as opposed to like, I have my lucky penny and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because I don't have any discipline in my mind. What if I had such psychological discipline, such inward discipline, that I could really give a part of myself over to that thing, that talisman, and that it would actually therefore have actual power in the world.
Right. If you
that's the argument of a idea or concept in occultism.
Oh, that's crazy. If you believe it, it's just true then.
But the belief has to be depth. This is an improviser. You could go up and you can improvise and it is funny and it has all the appearance, but you're like thinking about dinner and right. But when you're really working, like those moments when you've had great moments, right?
Yeah.
There is no layer. There's no
You believe it,
barrier.
yeah.
You fully are immersed in complete immersed belief, right?
Yeah.
That state, imagine continuing that state for long stretches of time would be what I would say would probably be the beginnings of magic practice.
Oh, let's do it. Let's come back in 6 months and do fucking cantrips and shit like that.
I'll do it. I love that shit.
Oh, I'm gonna read.
I always loved that. Even when I was a kid, I was like, I'd always go to the Occult store and buy.
My wife was into that shit. My wife had when we moved in together, she's like, I'm like, what's this box? She's like, it's books, and I took out, and they were all witchcraft and how to cast spells, and I was like,
fuck,
what the fuck am I getting into?
You cuckoo. Well, Flossie loves tarot.
Oh,
that's her
she
thing.
reads tarot, right?
She does tarot cards.
Yeah.
She draws a card every day. And for years, I'd be like, will you get over this shit? Like, I would always be, it's a card. It's a card.
But now instead, she's
like,
11
years
don't
in.
ride the subway today. You're like, what?
Well, no, now 11 years in to a relationship, I've learned that you just go, that's wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, great.
Oh,
cool. So today is a day of the cactus. All right. Well,
okay,
see
great.
you later.
I love you. Bye. Women! They are stronger and better than men.
They are. Their leg strength is unbelievable.
They do have great leg strength.
There was a thing they do have great leg strength. That's the quote of this episode. We just went from a talisman to tarot cards to women are actually pretty strong. I feel like that's not a better place to end than that.
That was great.
Women do have strong legs.
Women have strong legs.
If you learned anything from this episode, Anthony, thank you. So this episode comes out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
What can we plug? So if just look and see if the Trump is there a website Trump
I'll
versus.
tell you, there's TrumpVSBernie.com. Trump versus Bernie, but it's just the VS.com. So look for dates in May and June. And, of course, our Fusion TV special, which will be coming out in mid-April, Trump versus Bernie, both a debate and a sketch special. And you can always follow me at Tony Atamanuik, Atamanuik. I am not giving up on it. I sometimes consider being like, it's Tony.
Right, just anything to change.
Yes. But
Do you know?
I'm proud of my last name.
You're like one of my few friends that I've mispronounced your name for 7 years of knowing you.
Yep.
I put an N in between the
Atamanuik.
Atamanuik.
Yeah, everyone does that.
Yeah, it's because of the Anthony.
Yes.
It just sounds good rolling up.
I could care less because that last name has no meaning to me anymore anyway, because that's not even my father's real last name.
Here goes a whole nother story.
So
We got to get out of here.
I'll tell you the next time.
Wait, there was one other thing I wanted to say. Trump versus Bernie, blah, blah. I forget. I'm sorry.
Trump dump, but I mean, no one's going to.
Oh, yeah, it's not going to come out for
Yeah.
South by. It's not going to come out in time for South by. But Anthony, thank you.
my
At John
God.
Gabrus on Twitter. I don't have anything coming up, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'll be all right.
He's going to be in the sketch special.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I'll hopefully play Chris Christie, who's been undercover with the Al Qaeda.
Fucking
ISIS.
ISIS, that beard.
ISIS Christie.
ISIS Christie. True Italian ISIS. The Italian ISIS is now, that joke got so much bigger. I'm like, they're cold-blooded killers, cold Italian ISIS. They shaved to put the bombs closer. Shaved cold Italian ISIS.
I love that
Operation
bit.
Blueberry, Operation Lemon.
Thank you so much. And I hope if you're watching this in a video, hope you're enjoying the South by Southwest living room series of HeadGum podcasts or whatever the fuck we're calling this. Thank you. I am so hungover. I need to
I need to get out.
That was a HeadGum podcast.